Hi guys, so today we'll be solving this problem called delete operation of two strings. Let's solve it. Given two strings word1 and word2, return the minimum number of steps required to make word1 and word2 the same. In one step, you can delete exactly one character in either string. So we've been given two words, strings. So one of them, for example, is see and other is eat. So we need to make them equal, and at each step we can do exactly one operation, which is deleting the uh, character either of word one or either of word two. So if we see, if you want to make c and eat equal, so we need to delete s from word one, and then t from word two. So we need to do two operations. Similarly, in Leetcode, we see that if we want to make it equal, we need to delete LE and DE of word 1. So there are four operations that we need to perform. So we need to find and identify how many operations we need to perform to make both of the strings equal. So how we can solve this problem is by, we can understand that we have two choices at every position, that we need to select it or not select it. We need to select a character or not select a character to make it equal to word 2. So we have two options. So from this, I understand that we can use either dynamic programming, or we can use a memoized version of recursion. So I'll be solving it by memoized version of recursion, and let's dive into it, and I'll make everything clear of how we are, you know, getting the intuition of solving this problem. So first, I'll create a vector of dp, so vector int dp one dot size plus one. Now vector int word 2 dot size plus one. Okay, now let's initialize this dp by, let's say, -1. Then I call this function called solve, where I pass my dp. I pass the two strings, as well I as well as I pass the indexes which are needed to uh, to traverse the words. So let's come to the solve function, which is the function which will give us the number of operations which we need to perform to make the strings equal. So let's write that. So vector first argument that we have is dp, which is, then we have string word 1, then string word 2, int I and int j. Now let's write a few conditions that we know that are certain. Okay, so first let's write, what if the character that we are on, which is, say, suppose ith character for word 1 and jth character for word 2. So if that is equal, we don't need to perform any operations on it. So therefore we do word 1 of I is equal to word 2 of j. Then we simply return solve dp word 1 word 2 and I plus 1 and j plus 1. Okay, so we simply do not consider those character, and we move to the next character, which is the next index, which is I plus 1 and j plus 1. Okay, now let's write the condition of considering the minimum operations. So in that case, we'll be storing it in the dp. So how is dp gonna function is that we're gonna store plus dp of, at the place of I and j, we're gonna store the minimum number of operations. Okay, here we have named the function solve. So minimum number of solve, which is the operations which is needed to make the strings equal. So once we consider that character of word 1, and the next time we consider the character of word 2. which is j plus 1. All right. So what we are doing here is we are storing it in the DP of the number of operations which are needed at that character by knowing the minimum number of operations if we consider that character or if we don't consider that character. So that we'll be storing it in the DP. So just to return this DP at the end. Okay. Now let's write the base condition and let's think about how the base conditions will be working. So since it's a memoization, uh, so we need to also make a condition that if dp of ij is not equal to -1, if it is not equal to the initialized, uh, initialized whatever we had initialized here, I have initialized to -1. So any number you can initialize it with only when that number is not coming as an answer. So we return dp of ij if it is not equal to -1. So let's think about the base conditions of how this function would end. So thinking about the problem, I understand that if both the strings have equal number of length, that is the condition where we do not need to do anything, right? So we need to write that condition as well. So if word1 dot size and j is equal to word2 dot size, which mean we have reached the end of the string and we don't know if how many number of operations are needed because both the strings have reached the end of the string, right? End of the string, right? So we need to return 0 here because we don't know how many number of operations are needed because both of the strings seem to be equal. And one more condition we'll be having is that if I comes to the end of the string and whereas j doesn't come, or maybe j come or and I doesn't come, so at that time we need to so let me just write that case. If I is equal to word dot size and or word j is equal to word 2 dot size equal to, so at this time what we will return is maximum of word 1 dot size minus I and word 2 dot size minus j. So whichever is the maximum number of operations which are performed, be it uh, at index I or index 2, index j. So whatever number of operations which is maximum between both of them will be returned. So that's what we have to do here. Let me just quickly run it through. First, we need to check if both of the characters are equal. So we do not consider those characters. We move ahead in the string, both of the strings. Now, then we check whatever is the minimum number of operations, which will give us equal string. So for an instance, once we consider dp of ij and I plus 1, and we just let the second pointer which is on the second string as it is, or maybe we can do j plus 1 and let the first pointer on the first string be as it is. So this will create the dp of operations which are needed. We hit the base condition, which is if I is equal to word 1 dot size, I equal to j equal to word 2 dot size. If they are at the end of the strings, we know that there is no operation that we can perform, and therefore we return 0. Or maybe we get that one string is one pointer of one string is at the end of the string, and whereas the second one is somewhere in between or anywhere, let it be. So we need to return the maximum number of operations which are needed in both of the strings. So at that time, we return max of word 1 dot size minus I, comma word 2 dot size minus j, and that will work. So let's run the code to see if everything is working fine. Okay, word 1 dot size. Yeah. So let's run the code. Yeah, that is accepted. So I hope you guys understood the problem. Do solve it. Thank you.